Resident Evil.
Month. Oh no. Well, looks like someone tried to make a video for the movie Castle. What's great? You know I'm on the phone, right? Anyway, good luck with your video. Wow! You won't get away with this? Alright, so today we're doing a look back at review for Resident Evil 5. A lot of what I've heard about this game before playing it, that was really mediocre and only really decent in co-op. And I don't find that true at all. I find that this is a really underrated and good game that's, I think it's almost as good as RE4, but in a very different way. And the biggest caveat is that it's not very Resident Evil-y. Now, this is mostly due to the aesthetics, which I'll get into later. There's also the lack of horror tone in the story, but I do believe that the action tone that is there does have like the RE's 80s action movie feeling that's sort of in there as well from the beginning. What makes the game so good though is the gameplay. This is definitely one of the better playing Resident Evils. The shooting feels really good and it feels smooth, and managing the large amounts of zombies is fun. The camera isn't like RE4. When you turn the camera, your character moves as well. Although the camera does move a bit slower than I like it to. You can change the speed while aiming, but not while just regular turning. The shooting into comboing with melee attacks is even better in this game than it was in RE4. There's different types, like ones for like when the enemy's on the ground, ones when the enemy's they're back to you. The animations are really good for those as always. There's good weapons with good variety. I think the inventory is a little needlessly small. You barely have enough room for weapons and their ammos. Not to mention, grenades, healing, special items. I had to discard a lot more ammo than in any other RE game. The upgrade system isn't great. It's better than 4 though, but you're still putting 90% of your upgrades into firepower. There's good enemy variety. It works. The cinematic style gameplay moments are okay, but they're not as good as RE4. They're mostly church sections. The bosses kind of suck, especially the leech monster's second appearance. They heavily rely on hidden mechanics in order for them to not be big bullet sponges. Though those can be kind of convoluted though. Like one of them you have to shove a grenade into its mouth, but you can't just throw it in. You have to equip the grenade and then walk up to it and hit a prompt. The structural level design is fairly good. There's a good flow for hurting zombies. I heard really bad things about Cheva's AI when you're not in co-op. I heard she would block doorways and not come to co-op points where you have to both be there. But I didn't really see any of that. I don't know if it's just because it's the latest version they fixed that. Although there is one annoying thing she still does is that, like, if you have a red herb and she picks up a green herb, she'll hit you with that green herb and you can't combine it with the red herb for a bigger heal. That's really annoying. Overall, she's actually really capable and shoots the zombies competently enough, but not too well where she makes the game easy. This isn't the type of game where you basically have to play it in co-op. It's fine in single player, though I did play a few levels in co-op, and it is funner and feels like the intended/preferred way to play, but it's not mandatory to play the game. There's a lot of decent co-op oriented moments. but not as many as you'd hope. There's competitive multiplayer. It's fun, but it's disorganized and chaotic. Alright, so before we get into the story, I don't usually talk about the stuff thing too much. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna put this in. But the thing with the whole like where games take place in Africa, so most of the zombies are black, and it can kind of look like like a Attack of the Black People or racist in ways. But I don't think the deal with this is that like the majority of people who work at Capcom are racist or something like that. It's mainly two things. Japan has a mostly monoethnic culture, and so they don't really get a lot of racial sensitivities that the West has, and this is far from the first thing that's come up. And also, Resident Evil takes a lot of influence from older horror movies. Problem is, older horror movies set in Africa definitely had some bad influence there. That being said, ultimately, the people turned into zombies are victims, and there's a lot of African heroes, and Chevy, I'll go to end as a real good character. With that said, let's just not ignore what's wrong with it, but also not let that stuff get in the way of what's right with it. Anyway, the story is a really fun, over-the-top action story with the convoluted plot. The characters are really good archetypal characters, as usual in RE. Chris is as most, action-oriented. Let's just kill some zombies. Head state. Shiva's a really fun go-getter newcomer to the series. Wesker is at his peak cartoonishly evil villain state. And they're all made by really good performances. And there's also some decent side characters. There's amazing so bad it's good dialogue. Every line is delivered with insane intensity. Although there's one bad thing about the dialogue where it's kind of annoying that Chris and Chev are always asking really dumb questions that make them look stupid.
Missiles?
Why would they need these, do you think?
To shoot Ouroboros, you idiots! It says Ouroboros!
It literally says Ouroboros on them, guys.
Another thing is that Chev is kind of ignored sometimes. It makes her feel really player 2-y, and she shouldn't feel that way. Although for Wesker, ignoring her, they could have played into it maybe, like he doesn't care about her because she didn't personally scorn him. I don't know. Onto aesthetics, the environmental aesthetics are like technically okay, but they have very little RE atmosphere. There's no old buildings, no grungy. It's not grungy, and most of it takes place during the day. I'm not saying they need to drop a Victorian mansion in the middle of Africa, but this game's Africa feels more like Call of Duty's Africa and not Resident Evil's Africa. All that being said, there are some fairly good creature designs. The music's also pretty good, especially the one song toward the end, where they do the escaping the explosion part, Ari's known for. Also, the multiplayer menu song is this weirdly good mix between a song that starts lines like the Seinfeld theme song and a laser tag arena song. There's also the Lost in Nightmares DLC. I should mention that it's fairly good and has some classic Guardian environments. Although it's fairly short and has this bit of weird gameplay moment where you have not use guns and you're using traps. Overall, that DLC is fairly good. And overall, this game has a fair few flaws. It isn't very Resident Evil-y, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is really good. And the story is this fun, over-the-top, and cheesy story. So I'm giving it a 9.00. So what did you think of this game? Do you like the Resident Evil series in general? Do you think this game's underrated, or do you think I'm out of line here? Thank you to anyone that likes, comments, or subscribes. That's it.
Thanks, partner.